Now we have a next guest on the program. And I remember some years ago when it was a struggle to buy things online. You have to fill in a lot of forms and information for each of the retailers, create your own account, pay before you receive the goods, and you're worried about do I receive the goods or do I have to struggle and get the money back? And then of course require money back when you wanted to return the goods and so on. So it was pretty complicated actually. And then came Klarna with smooth payments. And I must say I'm so happy about the Klarna app in my telephone because I do everything there and I can also return goods and they install the payments and so on. So I'm very proud to present the next speakers. And the title of the speech is How Klarna Developed a Smoother Customer Experience with their CRM and MA. Head of CRM and Head of Consumer Lifecycle Management, Matthias Evelönn Joakim Hällgren. Welcome on stage, guys.
Thank you.
Very nice having you here.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matt.
And come here so we see you. Good. I mean, I have the perception that Klarna is a bank, a financial institution. Is that still correct?
It's an excellent question. Yeah, we are still a bank, of course, and as you all told us about, we are focused from start with payments, and then we have run over into the banking industry, and more or less we have the Klarna card with both a credit card and a debit card, and also we have a savings account. But our journey is much more than that. So we are running into more of a smooth shopping experience. And that's something we will talk more about today.
Very interesting. Welcome. Yeah. And stage is yours. And don't forget to write the questions and comments in the chat.
Thank you very much. We will try to tell you a little about Klarna and the smooth customer experience we are giving our customers. And we will start by introducing ourselves. So my name is Joakim Hällgren. I've been working 20 years with CRM, mostly from the business aspect, in terms of together with the organization, figure out how to build a profitable consumer base, but also a lot around marketing, how to identify and also incentivize profitable consumer behavior. I've been working with Klarna for 2 years now. And like most people in Klarna, people have 2 roles. And one of the roles in the competence structure, I'm responsible for CRM. So the CRM specialists who work with CRM are directly or indirectly reporting to me. And in the accountable structure, I am head of consumer lifecycle. And the last years, I've been spending a lot of time building a MarTech environment, making sure that it supports our marketing automation, but also our CRM. And now I am focusing on building our journey automation tools around our consumer journeys, and also to implement our contact strategy.
Yeah, and Matthias is my name, sitting with Joakim, working on the journeys that we are creating right now and taking that in a global account. I also long experience with CRM, almost 10 years now, starting in ICA with it and building up the personalized offers there, but then heading up into Telia, focusing on the analytics features. And also since 2 years ago, I came into Klarna. It was a high growth in like 2 years ago, where we really started to grow the business and so on. Yeah, we can start with the presentation. We will talk a little bit around like what is Klarna. Mats has already come into that point a little bit around like banking and so on. We will continue working, talking about smooth shopping and what is that actually for us. And then we will also talk about Klarna's CRM development and also how the Klarna operative model is working for us. And talk about some Klarna customer journeys that we are creating right now, and end with the key takeaways. We will talk around 20 minutes about this one. Hope you find it interesting. So, what is Klarna? For all of you who knows the history about Klarna, we started up as more or less as a payment provider, focused in Sweden, and then quite quickly jumped into Germany. We had a huge merchant focus here, and the merchant was our consumers back in the days. Then we went into US, and we shifted our focus a bit there and had more of a customer focus. And we created an app in US that we now have in each and every country. And what people don't know about this one is that we actually have, in the app, we are much more than just the payment. We have a lot of inspirational things, deals, curated wish lists, of course the payment options. We also have tracking package, the delivery tracking technology of knowing when you get your package, of course. We help with the easy returns. So we pause your payments if you are not satisfied and want to send it back. And since last year in US, we will also grow this one into Europe, is our reward club. So you earn rewards in each and every purchase you made with Klarna. For a lot of people, you may not know, but it's over 90 million people that has already experienced a better way to shop with us. Quite a lot of people, I would say. And you may also not know that we can shop anywhere in the app. So regardless of shop, if it's someone who is connected to us or not, you can shop with us and use our payment solution. That's pretty neat. Now we are going to show you a movie about Klarna. So this was the teaser about everything we have in the Klarna app today, and if you haven't tried out each and every feature of it, please go into the app and just test it and see what you can find in it. So, yeah. We have a year-on-year growth, and the last year on 40%. So we grow massively, and we are right now in North America and Europe, and also down in Australia, New Zealand. I would predict that we are having much more red dots during next year, actually, and of course, I think we will come into more confidence going forward. I will bring it on to Joakim.
Thank you. Matthias told you a little bit about the side of Klarna that you might not be familiar with, or you might have met us through the app or in different other contexts. I will bring you a little bit behind the scenes and give you some more context what marketing automation and CRM looks like at Klarna. Partly I will do it through our touch points. So through our MarTech platform, we generate around 1.5 billion sendouts a year. and it's growing super fast. Matthias told you about we have a year-on-year growth by almost 40%. So we estimate that this volume will be doubled by the end of next year. Those are mostly one-offs, big campaigns, but they are also to a large extent our marketing automation platform. These are emails, push notification, in-app messages, and a lot of different other types of communication. Then we also have our touch points and sendouts generated by our operational and transactional systems. They are quite big, almost 1 billion sendouts a year. And since 1 year ago, we have activated these touch points to make them a part of our marketing platform, to be able to have dynamic content in our transactional sendouts. We also generate a lot of touch points with our merchants and our sales solutions and payment options, meaning that we have real-time touch points that we can also add dynamic content based on consumer profiles. And the last year, I would say, we have spent a lot of time making sure that we can utilize these more transactional touch points as part of our marketing automation flow. And that means that we have more or less doubled the volume of sendouts that we can use when talking to the consumers. This is a huge benefit for us. We organize our different sendouts around 3 different themes. There are the campaigns and the launches. They are mostly driven by our product, by our brand, but also by a calendar and seasons. Many of you have met us in these types of campaigns. You have seen our Snoop Dogg campaign, our Lady Gaga, ASAP Rocky. Also for Christmas and Black Friday, we're very active in supporting our merchants with different types of sendouts. We also have our weekly sendouts, and those are gathered around different themes, like Deals Monday, or we have inspirational content, and also a lot of communication around our loyalty program, Vibe. The content in these weekly sendouts is mostly generated by our integrated merchants, but also with our partners. And then last but not least, we have the consumer journeys, where we follow the consumer throughout their actions, and we engage with them to make sure that they have a smooth journey, both in terms of encouraging them in different types of behaviors, but also helping them, making sure that they have all the information that they need. Just want to give you a short view on how CRM and marketing automation has developed at Klarna. We're growing really fast. When Matthias and me started at Klarna 2 years ago in 2019, we were actually 5 CRM specialists, among Matthias and myself included. Today, we are over 30 CRM specialists at Klarna. And by the end of 2022, we estimate that the numbers will grow, and we will be almost 70 plus CRM specialists at Klarna.
Yeah, so you know, we are growing massively, getting a lot of new people into it, and I'm going to talk about how Klarna's operative model works and the challenges of that one, because all these CRM people are not sitting in the same team as we speak. So the challenges is more or less like we have small teams that are driving their own specific areas, where we have an accountable lead that is the more or less the operative leader for it. And we have CRM specialists in that team, analysts, copywriters, and designers. For some teams, we also have performance marketeers, product managers, engineers, and so on. And why do we work with this kind of thing is more or less to gather all the competence in one team, because we can see that is more like fast driven, and we can really high speed of the deliveries. And for some example here, we have app growth, card growth, and shopping growth. So app growth, it's just a team trying to drive people to download the app. So in that team, we actually have 2 CRM specialists working with the side of when a person make purchase through our merchant and doesn't have the app. And for the card group, of course, we're working with getting people to connect their Klarna card, debit or credit card with us. This is super efficient. We can build things quickly and get things out of there, but we lack the overarching communication with this kind of structure, and that is a problem, of course. And to benefit a little bit around that one, we have kind of a style of thinking throughout the Klarna today. It's because of like everyone wants to gain their own KPIs and grow it. So we don't have like the full control over who we communicate with more or less, because everyone wants to be the same person to gain their own growth. But as Joakim said, he has been building up the MarTech structure of it, because that is super important with this one. As Matt said, we are a bank, we have regulations, we need to think about that one. And what we have been working super much on this last year is like structure and template that is one and the same for all markets, for all teams, and just so look and feel looks the same. And like a year ago, it was not that structured actually. The process is super important now, and we are looking into how we work with it, how we work with briefs and Q&A, and for all the approvals. We are sending, as Joakim said, 1.5 billion CRM communications. We need to know what is happening with them. And the access is super important, that we know not to, that the right people actually that has the access to Braze and so on, because we don't want people to send things that they doesn't understand what they are sending. For trainings, we have a new team that called CRM Excellence that is looking up to, because when we are growing from 30 to 70 people, we need to have a lot of trainings. But we also have a lot of working throughout Slack in super big communities, so people can always ask other people there around CRM topics, and that is working super good for us. For learnings, we also have weekly demos where we go through like, this is something good we have done, and also we have the Hacking Society. So what we call Hacking Society is more or less, how could we growth hack things and make it even better? And could we take that knowledge out to the other teams? Privacy, of course, the legal structure around that one has been super important for us this last time. And incidents, it occurs incidents, both small and big for sometimes. And for the whole Klarna, we have a good structure there of working with incidents. So we have actually a team just working throughout the incident. So if something happens, they are on us and make sure that it works smoothly.
Okay, I think you're starting to get the idea. It's a fast-growing company. It's quite complex. We have 3 billion sendouts. We have plus 20 markets, 30 different CRM specialists working, 90 million consumers. So this is an ambitious machine. And how do we keep this under control? And how do we manage to develop it? You know, we need to have really good tools, and we really have really good structures in the way we work. And how do we keep track of the customer in this? How do we make sure that they actually have a smooth journey? One of our leadership principles at Klarna that we try to follow is what we call customer obsession. to in every touch point make sure that we always have the best interest of the consumer at mind. And one of the tools we use is Klarna consumer journeys. I will tell you a little bit how we use those journeys and also what they look like. So this is one example of an overarching journey. When we go down in detail and we create our automated programs, we go much, much deeper and we have a lot of data. And in Klarna, we actually love data. We look at the consumer flows, and we identify both the opportunities and the leakage in each of the consumer journeys. And we do this for all our big target segments, but also in detail for each and every of the processes. We also use this map because what Matthias also told you about was the silos. It's really easy that you get tangled up with a lot of different departments within or different teams within the company. And that is one of the strengths of Klarna, is the operating model. We actually use this consumer journey to also rally around the consumer, because it's very easy for us to sit down with the different teams and look at what does the consumer journey look like. So what is the problems that the consumer encounters and how can we fix it? Is it actually a communication problem? Or is it a problem with the product? Or is it a service that we can build or change to make the journey much, much easier? So when we organize our teams, because we have these self-sufficient teams in our operating model, we try to do it in a way to make sure that everybody goes in the same direction, they goes in the same pace, and also they have every resources they need. So we organize it around our contact strategy, the 5 parts in our contact strategy. And those consists of the onboarding phase, where we take care of all our new consumers. We make sure they are introduced to the Klarna world. They have a first good experience. We give them the information we need, and we help them through each and every phase of the consumer journey. The pre-purchase, the purchase, and the post-purchase phase. After the onboarding, they go into our more ordinary programs in terms of working with our consumers. We have the engagement phase, for instance, where we work a lot in the pre-purchase phase with engagement, activities, inspiration, making sure that we help all the consumers that are really engaged in shopping and in different types of products. We have the conversion or the retention phase, where we focus on the active consumers, where we follow them through their journey and we make sure that we're always present, listening to what they say, listen if they run into problems, or if there's anything we can ingest in their flow to make it easier and more smooth. We also have the post-purchase phase of our contact strategy. And we have this because it's very easy that the post-purchase flow becomes very transactional. We send out a lot of communication around invoicing, payment, confirmation, installments, a lot of things that is not boring, but it's necessary, but might not be so inspirational. So we have actually a team focusing on the post-purchase phase, making sure that we also highlight the fun parts and help the consumers with useful services, but also like unboxing and other things that is really nice for the consumer. We also have a reactivation team, because we don't want the consumers to leave us, but we have consumers that are dormant and we want to reactivate them. We also work with proactive reactivation to make sure that we try to capture this as early as possible in the process. And we utilize a lot of data to make this happen. And all these parts are supported by dedicated teams that have clear KPIs and clear problem spaces to make sure that we have an overview of what we want to achieve, but also that we have broken this down into different parts. So you have seen we have a lot of different types of challenges, both in growing in volume, growing in terms of resources and employees, and also growing in countries. And we try to have an approach where we have central teams. They are allocated in different parts of the world. So we have automated journey teams in London, in Stockholm, in New York, and we will have it in Berlin as well. And these teams are creating global journeys and global communication. But we need to make sure that we are really in tune with the local markets. So we are building a network of supporting marketeers in the different countries were present to make sure that we both have the translation right and also that we are tuned with each of the markets that we're present in. Okay, so we have given you an overview of what the challenges and the opportunities are for Klarna in terms of marketing automation, but also in CRM. And we would like to sum this up with a few takeaways that we thought could be useful for you in hindsight of what we have told you.
Yeah, should I lead them?
Yeah.
We've talked about the Klarna's operative model. I think that's a good way of structure it. We get fast-paced, get much out there. We are lacking a little bit around the overarching CRM view, but that's something that will come into customer obsession a little bit later on. Centralized steering is super important also, I think, so we have that kind of alignment throughout the whole company of what we are doing and best practice of it. And yeah, would you like to talk about the last one, customer obsession?
Yeah, customer obsession. And I think one thing we can also highlight is the customer journeys. That is a super good tool, especially when you have it data-driven. There's a lot of consumer journeys that just end up on the shelf. But if you use it really hands-on to create your activities, but also to rally around in terms of gathering the organization, procurement, the product, the services, to look at really what are the challenges the consumers are facing when they're trying to reach their goal. So we can really recommend you to use that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, both Matthias and Joakim. So I know we have some questions from the audience, but I have, of course, some questions first. I start with that. I get a little bit of feeling that you are aiming towards kind of Google, taking a broader picture of the situation, not being only in the end of the buying process, but also kind of in the beginning, as a marketing channel for merchants, or?
Yeah. We can see that our challenge has grown, our scope has grown, and that is not only due to our own initiative, it's together with our integrated merchants. We can see that we have solved the payment solution for them and helped the consumers to buy, but we can also see that they are really interested in showing their products, getting more in touch with the consumers, and making sure that they are present in their life in an easy way to make sure that both the selection of product but also the purchase part is solved.
But are they worried that you collect all the data and they miss that information for the customer?
They actually find it very useful because it's very hard for them to do it themselves. But as a bank, we are really mindful of the trust to make sure that we take care of the consumer's data. We don't use it in any way that could be offensive or in a way that they don't comply with. So marketing consent, for instance, is a super important issue for us.
Good. I have some organizational questions also, but I will check with Daniel first. Daniel, do we have questions from the audience?
Yeah. Here, earlier in your speech, you talked about your different teams were located in different countries, right?
Yep.
The question is, how do you coordinate between these teams to make sure that customers are not hit too often with messages and difference?
All the sendouts is sent out through one central point. So we have full control of what is sent out. We also have different tools to both the frequency cap, make sure that the consumers doesn't get as much communication or above a certain level. But we also have different tools that we plan our sendouts through the calendar, for instance. We look at weekly, monthly, and also quarterly plans, how we do primarily the different types of sendouts. So we have a lot of tools to help us to do this planning. But at the end, we have the frequency cap to make sure that
I get a little bit of feeling that you have a good mix between the centralized and also the different countries and the local people checking that everything works fine in their market.
And I would say that Klarna is a truly international company. When you sit down in a meeting with Klarna, you never know where people are going to be located.
No.
It's going to be in Australia, New York, it's going to be Germany, London, or Sweden. You never know, and it doesn't matter.
So when people talk about different teams are located in different places, that's not really an issue because you have the same challenge if they're located in Stockholm. So it's
and of course important to understand the markets and the customers and so on. So you're not only the Stockholm people sitting there and deciding.
No, exactly.
Okay, we have more questions, right, Daniel?
Yes, we have one more. What CRM system do Klarna use?
Oh, that's a typical question.
Yeah. I assume it's the marketing automation system they are asking for, and for that one, it's Braze that we are working on. And for those who doesn't know Braze, it's a typical an app marketing automation system from start. So it was focused on app communication from start, and then it has grown, of course, and now it's quite super big.
Okay, good. And the CRM system is also maybe worth mentioning.
It's the same.
It's the same. Okay. Organizations, I have some questions there. And do you have, I mean, you show the growth of the number of people, but do you see what types of roles and responsibilities you see there in that group of 30 people?
Yeah, you can take.
And if we just go specific down on the CRM, we of course have the CRM specialists working in marketing automation, and working with Braze and the sendouts, build the new journeys and so on. But then we also have the CRM managers that are more like project leading and setting the whole scope and maybe the strategy and so on for our CRM.
Okay, and the works or the teams, do they communicate with each other because they have different responsibilities, I say so?
Yeah, how it works is more or less like we have the teams growing, leading their own KPIs and so on, but then we have our competence gatherings with CRM people gather and talk about everything that is happening. We also is huge on Slack as our information system where we talk, communication system, where we talk a lot throughout each other, what's happening and so on. And also I think that works super good for us.
And you work agile or?
Yeah, it's really agile.
Yeah.
In Klarna, there's a true matrix organization. We have both the accountable structure and we have the competence structure, and both are equally strong. So
that's an important.
That's super important.
Factor.
Yeah, so actually the CRM specialists meet quite often just to discuss ways of working, templates, learning, and A/B testing, a lot of things that could be useful for everybody to know.